seconds, guys. So just give it a count of 10 here. Let's see. 10, 9, 8. Oh, I think I got it. Let me see. We're on, and let's see if we can get David front and center. We are so excited, you guys. And you can just mute yourself, Truett, until you're talking. But we have a special guest on here tonight. Oh, that's an echo. Let me see how that's going to work. Let's see. Is that echoing?
Yeah.
Do you have yours on?
No, my phone is off.
Okay. David, can you see us?
I can. All good at my end.
Awesome. I said tonight we're going to need tremendous grace.
It's like a delay.
It's a delay. Okay.
Should we dry run it and do it again?
Nope, we're going to do it right now. David, so what we're going to do, we are so honored and privileged to have the founder of Lifewave, the genius, the inventor of this incredible phototherapy technology with us tonight. It's delayed.
Can you turn the YouTube playback?
Oh,
computer?
Yeah.
It's like you're playing it, plus you're doing it.
Hang on a second, David. I'm going to get this right. I'm going to shut off the YouTube because that's what's happening. I see it's a delay on there. Scott just told me what I'm doing wrong.
Okay.
Aren't you guys glad that everybody in the room together is smart as just one of us in the room?
So,
Is that YouTube right there?
there you go.
Okay. Let me go back to the Zoom. Let me see. David, I think we got it. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Okay.
That was
Fantastic.
That was a learning curve. Thank you for bearing with me. Thank you for giving us grace. Okay, yay. Now I don't hear that echo. Awesome. So we have with us a founder and creator of this phototherapy technology, genius, dear friend. I always said if we get stuck in some type of, what do they call it, Scott?
An escape room?
Escape room. We want David Schmidt with us because he'll get us out of there because this guy's genius and he looks for all the clues. He's here to solve problems and create solutions for the world and the marketplace, especially in health. David's been busy this week. We're leading up to our annual convention. For those of you that haven't registered yet, you better get registered, and you'll definitely want to do that after the event tonight because the tickets are nearly sold out. We've got the science, the genius, all of the clinical studies, right? We're going to be discussing everything. And then, of course, we've got the finale of Elton John. I've been listening to the Elton John playlist now, David. I'm getting familiar with all the lyrics. I want to be able to sing them with him. Anyway, we are so honored to have you. Thank you for taking time with our family. We really called this Generations of Health and Wealth, right? And this is what you're about, what we're about. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Renita Brennan.
Hi, everyone. I'm Scott Brennan. And David, thank you for joining us tonight. Let's kick it off with just a couple quick questions from us. We have our boys on as well. We love the message that we hear from you, David, from stage and on the live meetings where you start talking about Lifewave being more than just an opportunity for today, but it being a generational health and wealth opportunity. Why is that something that's important to you, David?
Oh, well, thank you. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on with your team tonight. It's such a pleasure and a privilege, and really appreciate the opportunity to talk about some of these subjects with you all tonight. When we're talking about a generational business, where this originates for me is from the perspective of gratitude. I have this incredible life today. So when I started Lifewave, it started as a home-based business. I took my son Matt's bedroom and I converted it into a home office. And today, because of our amazing brand partners and leaders, we have a global business. We're in over 80 countries. We have offices all over the world, this huge operation. We're the fastest growing company in the world in the industry. We're in the top 25 largest companies of the world in the industry. I was able to start a drone business which I know you'll probably want to ask me some questions about since we were just over there. And I met the love of my life. So I've been unbelievably blessed because of Lifewave. And so the type of things that I think about now at this point in my life is how can I give back to all of the amazing leaders and brand partners that have been so good to me. And what I think about is my kids are in their 20s and they both work with me at the company. And I think about what kind of future are we getting into? When we look at all the challenges that we face, and the younger generation today, I think, has more challenges than I did when I was in my 20s. I think it's more difficult. There's more pressure on them. There's the uncertainty with AI and robotics and where that's all going. So from my perspective, something that I can do to support our community is create technology that is still going to be relevant many decades from now, so that when someday the two of you, I think it's unlikely the two of you will ever slow down, but if someday you say, you know what, I kind of like being in Interlock and I might want to stay here a month instead of, going back home, and you have your kids running the business, we've taken the time now to create a business model that is going to still be around 10, 20, 30 years from now. So these are new technologies in the field of anti-aging, age reversal, but then also diversifying out into other technologies, such as what we're doing with the drone, and then especially with the power generation system.
Oh my gosh, which we're going to talk about in a moment because it gets us so fired up. David is a visionary, you guys. He is a hero. I think he's a modern day hero. And it was funny, as we were preparing for this, I always prayed. The Lord seems to always give me songs. I don't know why, David, because he thinks I think that God knows I like to dance. And so, so I'm in the shower and God gave me the Bonnie Taylor song, Holding Out for a Hero. And I thought, I got out of the shower, I put the song on, and I thought, this is it, you guys. We are holding out for a hero, and David is a hero. Each one of us are heroes. Make no mistake, there's a reason you're here tonight listening to this. You're chosen for such a time as this. And it was really interesting because I just went to YouTube and I said, what is a hero? And David, you're going to get a kick out of this. This guy came up that was doing some type of speech somewhere, and he actually played a video of his little son talking about what a hero is. So I've got to play it. It's like 30 seconds. It's so good. Let me hit the share button here to make sure that you're seeing it and everybody's hearing it, because nothing better than hearing it from the wisdom of a 3-year-old boy of what a hero is. And it's so interesting because, of course, he talks about superheroes, which we know that David Schmidt, our good friend and founder, is a huge superhero fan. So here we go. Listen to this.
To talk to an expert. Who are the experts on heroes? 3-year-old boys. This is my son, Cal. What kind of things does a hero do? Do they do the right thing or the wrong thing?
The right.
That's right. Why do they do the right thing?
Because they are superheroes. Yeah.
All right. What if the bad guy's really strong and has weapons? Is it a bit more difficult then to fight them?
Yeah.
All right. So if it's difficult, why do they do it?
Batman is brave and bold.
Because Batman's brave and bold. Okay. Does he give up or does he keep trying?
Keep trying.
Great, keeps trying.
Let's give up me.
Give up means you stop trying. You decide you can't do it. Because keep trying is the right thing to do, isn't it?
I keep trying.
Good. Are you a hero? Good.
Cow.
Super cow. To talk to an expert.
Hey guys, hopefully you love that like I love that, David, but I feel like we are all superheroes. You're a superhero, and you just are relentless at creating these technologies that are saving lives, changing lives, and then the generational benefit is so huge. It has completely changed our family. I mean, if I look at our life 3 years ago to now, our lives are completely A lot more fun. We are having a lot more adventure, and the amount of stories and miracles, literally miracles that we get to hear on a daily basis, are really why we do this, right? I know it's why you do this. You love changing and saving lives. You have a heart to serve. But I thought, David Schmidt's a modern day superhero. We need him very much alive because he's fighting the principles of darkness and we're standing in the light over here, right? And so, we have our boys with us tonight. And I feel like I was also, as I shower, I think it's because my mouth is closed, I get good ideas. It happens in the shower a lot. But the Lord said to me, the young generation needs superheroes. The younger generation, the teenagers and the 20-year-olds, they need superheroes. A lot of people have been led astray in the world, and there's a lot of confusion right now in the world and in the marketplace. And I'm like, we are beacons of light, what we're doing here. We're beacons of hope and love. And like you said, gratitude and solutions. And so we're so thankful for you, for Christina, for your visions, for your divine downloads, for how you honor our Lord and Savior. We love all of that about you. I say people don't learn much from people they don't like. Well, we love you. So we learn a lot from you, David, and we appreciate that. So our boys are learning a lot too. And we actually kind of, to kick this off, we have lots of questions to ask, but our boys are going to each ask you one or two questions. And I never really gave you the questions. So I thought you're just going to answer from the heart, which you're so amazing at. And just knowing that we believe in generations of health and generations of wealth. With Scott and I, we broke that lineage of sickness that was in our parents and grandparents and great-grandparents. We were the chain breakers to say no more. And we did that through a combination of things, but especially through Lifewave and phototherapy. And the generational wealth breaking that went on over here, I mean, it is like unrecognizable, right? From 3 years ago, when our parents, we want to give them honor. They're amazing. They did the best they could with what they had. But it's almost like when you know more, you get to do more, right? When you learn better, you get to do better. So we want to thank you for that. And we're going to bring in the boys. The first one is Rocco, the baby of the family. We're going to slide out and let him slide in and let Rocco ask you some questions.
Hey, David.
Hey, Rocco. Nice to see you again.
And nice to see you too. I wish you, Christine, and your kids are all doing well. So I just got one question for you. So David, knowing what you know and the amount of experience and success you've had in your career, so my question for you is, what advice would you give to this younger and upcoming generation?
Oh, that's pretty broad. Well, I would say the first thing is when I look back on my life and I look at where I am today, compared to, let's say, where I started in my late teens, early 20s, it is incredibly important each day to pray and give gratitude. And this is not something just spiritual. It's incredibly practical. And I would look at it this way. You have two parents that love you and provide for you. And if from time to time you're not expressing gratitude towards your parents, they probably would be pretty upset. They wouldn't like it very much. And, the same is with our relationship with God. I really believe that God appreciates it when we turn around and give thanks and express gratitude. What's incredible is that this does in turn have a demonstrable physiological effect on the body. When we pray, especially in the morning, when we take time to pray and express gratitude, it provides a relaxation response on our nervous system. This reduces oxidative stress, inflammatory stress, and gets our day going in the right way. So I'd say that that's been an incredibly important part of my life. The other side to this is that when we're looking at being an entrepreneur, it does not matter if you have a lack of experience or a lack of money. Those things are important and they can be developed over time. But what is far more important is for an individual to have patience and perseverance, create a plan, and become unstoppable.
Wow.
I knew in my life that I wanted to be an inventor, and there was not a clear path that I saw to accomplishing this. So I had a number of entrepreneurial ventures. I owned a computer business with a friend of mine. Then I ended up selling that to him. I had a development company where I ended up in a company in Georgia where we were developing technologies for the U.S. Navy. And at one point, and this is kind of like a funny irony on life, I remember I was probably worth maybe about 70 or $75 million because of contracts that we had brought in. And when 9/11 hit, all of that went away. All of those contracts were gone because the government was interested in developing weapons. So that got frozen. But I had developed Lifewave on my own, and that's when I set up Lifewave. So one door, when you're an entrepreneur, you have to be prepared to kind of ride these ups and downs, but you have to remain patient, persistent, pray for guidance, and doors will open, and then you pursue them. There's a lot more that goes with this, but the patience and the persistence can overcome any lack of experience or knowledge as long as you're willing to apply yourself.
Wow. Thank you so much for that, David. I really appreciate you, and I'm very thankful for you. You've blessed my family and I and many other families, and can't wait to travel with you and see you at convention.
Absolutely. Same here, Rocco. Thank you. Great seeing you.
Thank you so much.
So, David, we're going from youngest to oldest. We've got Truett, and he's down in Arizona, which is why he's zooming with us there. So we're going to let him come in and ask the next question. Let me add the pin to you, True, and then you can ask David your question.
Sounds great. First off, I just want to say, David, we are so blessed. I'm so thankful. Like my mom said, you've completely changed our lives. Like two years ago, we weren't traveling the world. We weren't changing lives like we are today. And we're so blessed to have you as our CEO and founder. But for the question, who has been your biggest influence in your life and why?
Well, I would say that I've had a number of different people that have been an important influence in my life. You know, in practical terms, I read the Bible regularly, and of course, there are multiple inspirations for people in the Bible. Jesus is always going to be my Lord and Savior, and represents how we should be living our lives. You know, being kind to one another, loving one another, feeding one another, teaching. Right? These are all important things. But when I was in my early teens, I went to a prayer group in New Jersey where I lived. And after I graduated from college, this gentleman owned a company where he was inventing and developing medical devices. So he gave me a job. I helped him with his computers, and he taught me how to invent and design medical devices. So he was a very, very important influence on my life. He had taken some of his inventions, which were medical devices, and created a company and was successful. So I was very blessed to see that there was someone that was able to transition from being an inventor to being a successful owner of a company and actually do that for a living. So during times that were very difficult, I was able to look back on that as a reference, and I thought, okay, there's no reason why I can't do this as well. I need a plan, I need to pray for guidance, and I need to just stick with it and keep pushing each day and doing the basics. And of course, it worked out pretty well.
Wow, that is amazing. I love that so much. Wow. That's crazy that we have a founder that just centers his life on like Jesus, you know, that's just, you don't find that, right, Mom? That's wow. Yeah. So blessed.
You don't find that.
No.
Truett is crushing the business. He's got a lot of his young friends joining. They're all just muscle, 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 David. So, you know, we're all
Bench
we're
press.
I know there's a crazy amount of competition here.
Oh my goodness gracious. They're putting the patch on. Many of them are lifting more than they've ever lifted. And I think it's because they're probably sleeping better, repairing better, right?
100%.
Yeah. One of his buddies yesterday said in 6 months, I mean, it's like it cleared up his skin in 18 days from the acne. And within 6 months, this kid, I don't even know what's the weight he's lifting, Truett.
60 pounds on his bench press.
Increased it.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah. And for me too, I hit 225 at the beginning of the year, and now I can hit 350. Now I can hit 315 this year. So it's completely changed the game.
Congratulations.
I'm trying to
that's
catch up to
amazing.
you. Trying to catch up to you.
Oh,
David.
no. You passed me now. You passed me now. You're doing great.
That's awesome.
Hey, I want to tell a quick story. When we were over in Denmark, we were on this senior presidential director elite trip. By the way, we just had a brand new senior presidential director elite in our business, John and Teresa Getz. So we're celebrating them, David. They're so amazing. They can't wait to be on the trips with us. But we were over in Denmark, and I told Scott, gosh, I feel so fast here. I was on the treadmill and I was running, and I didn't think it was, I thought it was in miles per hour. And I'm like, holy cow, I'm going like 21 miles per hour. Like, this is amazing. I'm so fast. And Scott goes, Renita, that's not how he's like, what did you say? He goes, Scott goes, that's kilometers. He's like, and I said to David,
21 kilometers per hour is still great though.
But in my world, I thought to myself, gosh, I got to get my treadmill and change it to kilometers because it's such a boost for my confidence, right? Because I thought I was so fast. Anyway, these guys are crushing at the gym. Truett, thanks for hopping on. I'll let you go. I know you're probably still at the airport. Thanks for hopping on and asking.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much,
Truett.
David.
Safe travels. Yeah,
Thank
God
you.
bless.
We love you. True. All right. Next one on is the oldest of the bunch. The guy that is totally crushing the business, has been at it for 3 years, got started because of his health ailments, right? One of the few athletes on his track team that chose not to get the vaccine, and he took hell for it. I'm just going to say it. He was not liked very much because he made that decision back then. And boy, are we glad that he did. And so we're going to let Bo ask his questions because he is rocking this and literally, like I said, building a huge team of these young people. And I feel like this is the demographic that we need to be talking to and talking about because they have no history with network marketing. They've got no preconceived ideas about it, right? Many of them want something more with their lives. They want freedom and flexibility. They don't necessarily want to go work at 8 to 5 with somebody that they don't care to listen to, right? Oh, I froze for a second. Hopefully that comes back. Hopefully you guys can see me. All right. Is that still plugged in and working? Okay. Anyway, okay, good. I'm going to let Bo slide in here.
David, how are you doing? Bo Brennan here.
Hey, Bo, great to see you.
Great to see you too. I'm really looking forward to seeing you in convention in Anaheim in a couple of weeks. Hey, so just want to hop on real quick and ask you a couple questions. So first off, just want to say, how grateful I am for you that you created this technology 20 years ago. Since I partnered with Lifewave in 2022, my life, like my parents said, and my brothers, our lives have completely been transformed, both, health, athletic performance wise, and then also financially. I would just want to touch a little bit on the vision and the innovation that you have within this company. I know that you received recently the DSN Innovator of the Year, which is a pretty prestigious award given to the top innovator in the direct sales network. And so my question for you, David, is for the long-term vision of this company, where do you see the regenerative patch technology in the next 5 to 10 years? Where do you see the trajectory of our technology headed?
Oh, that is such an interesting question. And by the way, thank you for everything that you're doing for the business. And it's so important that we have individuals that are in their teens and their 20s that are getting into LifeWave and being an entrepreneur because you're the future of the company. So thank you for everything that you're doing. And let's see, the picture froze, so I might wait until you come back. Bo, can you hear me? I will wait just a minute. Okay, if you can all hear me, we're just going to wait until Bo and Scott and Renita come back online. I'm not sure if we're broadcasting right now. Thank you all for being here. It's always a pleasure to be able to have time to spend with our community. Okay, here we go.
Dude, I am
You're
so,
on. There we go.
you know what? I think that we have a network issue because we have a storm going on up here, so I apologize.
No,
Oh
it's
my God.
totally okay.
Okay, here, let me make sure that we're getting back onto the Zoom and that it's restored.
All right, David.
Hang
I
on a second.
apologize. Did you hear any of my question for you?
Oh, I heard the whole thing, Bo, and then I started answering, but when the picture froze, I stopped.
Oh my
Yep,
gosh.
give
I
me one,
apologize.
let me go in quick, pause, stop recording. Nope, we want to keep doing it live stream. Let me make sure that we're, nope, I think it came back on, so I think that we're back in the game.
Awesome.
All right,
Okay.
sorry about that. I'm sorry. I mean, it's been storming here for days, but thank
You're
you.
totally okay. Yeah, no problem at all. So, Bo, I was just, when I started off, I was saying that I wanted to thank you and your brothers for being in the business because it's so important that we give individuals in their teens and 20s a chance to be an entrepreneur and create a future of independence. And you guys are the future of the company. So, thank you for everything that you're doing. So, innovation. What is it that we would want to do in the future? I'm going to be talking about this at conference in a couple of weeks, but to summarize this, if one of the ways that we can think about biological systems in general is that they all depend on energy and information. And what we can see as people age is a breakdown in both of those systems. There's a breakdown in the body's ability to make energy, convert fat and carbohydrates into energy. So we call this, of course, commonly mitochondrial dysfunction. And some of this begins as early as age 25. So it's important that we safeguard our health. So your family, of course, is covering all the basics. I know you guys have a really healthy diet. You're exercising regularly. You're being careful to make sure that you get proper sleep, supplement where necessary, drink plenty of water, use technology like the patches. All those things are so important. So if we look at it from that perspective, then the path to creating technology for stopping and reversing human aging becomes self-evident. Number one, we restore the function of the mitochondria back to more youthful levels. And in species that don't age, their mitochondria never degenerates. Species that never age also have complete control over the oxidative and inflammatory process, and they don't experience any type of gene mutations. So, in other words, they're able to self-regulate and maintain the integrity of their gene set. So, this is to say that in future LifeWave technology, this is where I'll be placing the emphasis on new methods to restore a person's genome to a more youthful state. So the idea is it doesn't matter if someone's in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, if we can restore the energy output of the cell and we can, each time a cell divides, it's dividing as a younger, healthier cell, then over time that person becomes physically, biologically younger. So that's the direction that LifeWave is going in. And we already have another 5 to 7 years of product launches already today.
Good to hear that. As a young 25-year-old, I love to hear that because a lot of direct sales companies, they're getting bought out by private equity and venture capitalists. So I love that your vision for, the next 5 to 10 years is to not only focus, on the everyone wants to look better, like look younger, but like your goal is to like heal the mitochondria, how you're saying, from the inside, and to actually reverse age. So I love every aspect that you're talking about right now.
Yeah, yeah, it's practical from the sense that I would say first there is compelling reasons to believe that the ages that we see in the Bible are completely true and accurate.
Wow.
So, for example, Noah was 600 years old when he entered the ark, and his son Shem was 98 years old. Well, Noah lived to be 952 years old, and Shem lived to be 600 years old.
Holy.
And what we see is that after the flood, that lifespans began to decline. And God had said that he was going to limit lifespans to about 120. And that's, in fact, exactly what happened historically. But when we understand the mechanisms behind this, we can understand how, in fact, how God gave us a path to reclaiming our health. So the net advantage of this is we're not trying to restore someone's youth for vanity purposes. It's so that they can live a life where people can contribute to society and hopefully, preferably, make this world a better place.
Amazing. Yeah, God for sure designed our bodies to heal. So just bringing, back to a more youthful, healthier state, healing the mitochondria. Is there going to be a mitochondria study that you're going to talk about at convention?
Well, I think there'll be something pretty interesting that I'm going to mention at convention.
Last convention, you were talking about lobsters and codes, and I was like, my mind was absolutely blown at last convention. So that was really cool.
There'll be a little bit more of that, but I'll talk about some things I haven't talked about before because I think it's pretty important. The more that I read the Bible and I dig into some of the codes, you find some truly extraordinary things. And I don't want to sidetrack your questions tonight, but I would say it's really important for first people to read the Bible and use that as inspiration to have a better life, a life where you walk with God, but also there are many layers of the Holy Bible. There's other information that's embedded into it, and none of this is coincidence. This was all planned, and it's really extraordinary. Just one other example in the Bible code, in Genesis 1:1. So in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. We can take different phrases. We can convert those words over into numbers using the principle of gematria. So we use the original Hebrew, and we see numerical codes of 777, 888, 999. And so, for example, in the beginning, God, that numerical phrase is 999. And with the center numbers 888, if we take the name of Jesus in Greek, because the New Testament was written in Greek, that the name of Jesus is 888. So right in the center, 777, 888, the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, right where it belongs. So these things are not a coincidence at all.
Not a coincidence, and that's true. I 100% agree with that. I love that you have faith. That's super important for me. Being with a company that has faith and just the values is super important. So I just love partnering with that. There's a lot of companies right now where it's lost. The generation is lost. And so you're providing hope and you're super strong on your beliefs. And I love that about you, David. So I appreciate you.
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Just one more thing, obviously, the company is just growing at a rapid pace. We're on pace to do $1 billion this year in revenue. So it's going to be a record year this year. We did 600 million last year. And so just kind of touching a little bit more, on the generational aspect and just leaving that generational legacy. in the broader field of regenerative medicine, what is your hopes that you leave the world with, the next, 10 to 20 years?
There's some incredibly exciting things happening.
Yeah.
So one of the things I'll talk about at conference is the concept of regeneration and how far we can actually go with it. But there is work being done at the university level, which shows that regeneration is possible by only putting information into the wound where the limb has been severed. So in other words, you can take a frog that does not have the ability to regenerate and sever the arm. And by putting the correct biochemical information into where the amputation is, 18 months later, a new limb will regrow. And this is only from putting biochemical information into the wound site within the first 24 hours. So what's extraordinary about this is it tells us that when we're looking at disease today, when we're looking at, for example, it could be heart disease, kidney failure, liver failure, that it may be possible to put the correct information into the body and have the body regenerate as long as there's enough energy and protein there. And this is exciting because that's what LifeWave exactly is. It's a communication device for the human body using light. So we use a patch, we stimulate the skin with light, and we give the body the information for elevating copper peptide or glutathione or carnosine, and that's exactly what happens. So even after 20 years, we're still in the infancy of the potential of this technology and then where it can go. But I see a future where we can go very, very far beyond that. And I'm super interested in clean power generation because this is something that we've done incredibly well. And of course, your mom and dad may want me to talk about that, but of course they witnessed this summer an entirely new type of power generation system that is completely clean and incredibly efficient. So we have the potential to put this technology out to market to give people the ability to be energy independent, to cover 100% of their electrical needs, charge their electric car if that's what they have, and then have enough electricity left over to sell that back to the grid and earn money and doing good for the planet in the process. So I'm really excited about that level of innovation that we have in the business as well.
Just the financial capabilities of that clean energy, and then also just, yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, when we're looking at businesses that will be here for many decades, it will all be in how quickly can we get the body to heal naturally? Can we keep people younger longer? Can we stop and reverse aging? Can we create a planet that is clean, do this with sustainable technology? And a lot of that, because of the way that the previous generations have polluted the planet, we have to generate power in a way that is harmonious with the environment. So a lot of things have to change, and we want to be a part of that movement.
Well, that is exactly what we're doing. And so I appreciate you for everything, David. I'm just super excited, where the company's headed. And I'm super happy and grateful to be a part of this movement. So I thank you so much.
Oh, Bo, thank you so much. Thank you for everything that you're doing.
I'll see you in Anaheim. We're going to have fun at the Rocket Man concert. That's going to be awesome. See ya.
Absolutely. See ya.
I told you we got them all on the playlist, David. Rocket Man. All right. We're so excited. Our boys just absolutely love you. We're so thankful and grateful that you took time to answer their questions, because it is the next generation of leaders. And it is important that they hear from you because, we're the mom and dad, right? And they can hear from us every day. But when they hear from you, your wisdom And what you speak is just gold to our family. So we really are thankful. By the way, I just want to say this, the YouTube channel that I chose is called Get Up World, because I bought that domain name many years ago. But of course, the YouTube channel was taken. So guess what I named it? Get Up World 888. And I knew that because 888
How cool.
is Jesus. And so I knew that. And so I thought we're just going to call it that. But we want to talk about now, kind of switching gears a little bit, because we were in Denmark. Oh my gosh, which was just a total blessing with all of the SPD elites, you and Christina, what a blessing. But seeing what we saw was extraordinary. I mean, meeting these royalty and, just seeing what we witnessed, it was like, I said to Scott, it was like we were in like a sci-fi movie. And I mean, it really was. So I'm going to let Scott ask a couple questions, because for those of you that don't know, he explained it a little bit to Bo about the energy technology coming up, where we're going to be able to use this in our homes. I feel like the whole thing of LifeWave is energy, like energy for the body, right? Energy in the water, energy for our homes. But if you guys didn't know, we were at Thunderstrike, and I got to pull out my award because it's so cool. If you haven't seen the award, this is what we all got. And of course, it's some unique piece of new species of metal that David created in his lab. So I'm going to let Scott ask you a couple questions about Thunderstrike, because we were so thoroughly impressed. And the hardest thing was they made me keep my camera in the Faraday bag in the bus. And so, yep, they checked me twice, David, to make sure that phone was in there. And I thought, I have never wished in my life that I could be a person who hears and just repeats exactly what somebody said more than that day. So go ahead. Understood. Scott does a pretty good job.
Well, David, hi. So, when I first learned about the X39 patch, I, like a lot of people, thought, how is this little sticker going to do what it's proposed to do? And then I started to read some of the clinical studies, listen to you and your podcasts, review the patent, right? And so I was reading things that I didn't know was possible. I was seeing something that I didn't think could exist or that could help me in the way that it did. And so before I ask your question, I want to tell you just my quick testimony is over the last 3 years, I've lost about 28 pounds per year, every year for 3 years. I feel amazing. All I've done is put the X39 patch on every single morning, and what it's done is I'm waking up in the morning earlier with more energy. Throughout the day, I just have this constant focus and energy. I'm off of CPAP. Breathing device. So it was like,
congratulations.
Yeah, that makes your love life better, David.
Yeah, it's definitely better.
I know you're into the love life.
Yeah.
And so everything functioning well, right? So I'm telling you, get off that CPAP machine, things get funner.
So it used to be Star Trek over here, or Star Wars over here. There's no more mask in the bedroom. That's been amazing.
Thank goodness.
My blood sugars was completely stabilized. So when I started wearing your X39 patch, I started testing actually my blood sugar in the morning, and my fasting blood sugar was super high. And so, I really started to get a handle on that, and the patches really helped me implement other things in my life, like some intermittent fasting and different things like that really have been instrumental. But the X39, before I learned about it, and it's so simple, but I just couldn't believe that it could do what it does. And then I saw it firsthand. I saw it for myself. So I want to thank you. You've helped save my life and add years to my life. Now, I don't know that I'm going to compete with Noah or, in the Bible, Moses in the Bible for the 900 years. But you've added decades to my life for sure. And so I'm very thankful for that. When we went to Copenhagen, Denmark, and we got to spend time, David, with you and your wife, Christina, and even your kids, Christina and your children, it reminded me of things that are really important for Renita and me, is to be with each other and to be with our kids. And so when I heard Truett ask you the question, who is it that inspired you the most and why? Rocco's in the background, and he said, David's going to say Jesus. And so our kids, this isn't our first event here where our kids are involved, but they've been more in the background, but they're listening to you, David. They're proud of you. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you as a dad, as a husband, as a leader of this company. I'm really thankful for you, and I'm proud of you. So getting to my, kind of a little bit of my observations and my questions there in Denmark is, we got to see you and your son, Matt, right? And it was interesting because Matt had a little bit of a spotlight on him. He was on the red carpet. Everyone wanted to take pictures with him. We got to like congratulate him on something that he did with his dad, with you. Of course, your daughter was there as well. To see them, experience that kind of joy, to see a vision come to fruition. And when you started to give us this tour in Denmark, where Christina's from. So here you are, you met the love of your life, you're in her home country, you're inviting the top leaders of Lifewave, you're giving us this tour at Thunderstrike, at this incredible facility, to see them just smile and to see the smile on your face was amazing. But so some of the things I couldn't believe, but drone technology that can fly 400 miles per hour, that's undetectable by radar, that has camera and imaging that can penetrate concrete, so you can see people that are trapped underneath, rubble and things like that. You invited us to put our hands on a running engine. So you take the engine from a drone and you put it in this home generation, and you would think that putting your hand on that generation, and obviously you knew what you're doing when you invited us to do that, but none of us melted our hand. The engine was room temperature. Right. We were in this enclosed area, and the air coming out of the exhaust of the generator was cleaner than the air in the room. Right. And so I remember people asking you questions like, these world-renowned aeronautical engineers, what questions did they ask you? And you said something like, they didn't know what to ask because they just said they experienced something that they didn't know could even exist. Right. So it was really special. I want you to share with our viewing audience a little bit about, how Thunderstrike came to fruition, why you think it's important, and a little bit about what that journey was like for you and your family.
One tidbit on there too is how you said Lifewave is coming in through the air. Remember when you said this, or it's like, yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, well, first, thank you so much for all of the very, very kind comments. It's so very much appreciated. And this company wouldn't be anywhere without great leaders like yourselves. So thank you for everything that both of you are doing for this company. It's an absolute privilege. And it's one of the things that Christina and I love about the business, is that if it wasn't for direct sales and network marketing, we wouldn't have the opportunity to know one another and have this great friendly relationship as well as a business relationship. So thank you for all of that. Well, with Thunderstrike, it's so interesting because it started out as this father-son project, and my son Matt was going in not a good direction in his life. He had some bad influences, not going in the right direction. And I had a discussion with his mom about what we could do about it. And I thought, well, anytime that I've celebrated Matt's birthday, we're always doing something like going paragliding, or he's going parachuting. It's something with flying. And so I said, why don't you come join me in research, and we'll work on a project with something with flying. We'll build a plane together. And he said, well, what is it going to be? And I said, I don't know, but we'll figure it out. He's like, okay, it sounds good. So I had some initial concepts, and we did a few different things. And then I went back to the 90s when I had been developing power generation systems for the Navy. And I started thinking about, okay, if I could take one of these concepts and modernize it and maybe create something completely new, we could have something new in drone industry or aircraft industry. And began working on this, and very quickly came up with some good ideas, and then turned this into functional prototypes. And when I did market research, I hired a fellow to do market research. And what I very quickly found out was that the engines that people were putting in drones and other aircraft had an enormous amount of waste and a lot of limitations. And I thought, okay, if we could create a better engine, we could have better endurance. It would be good for the planet. And we might be able to have a business. And one of the things that always frustrated me in LifeWave is that when we would make a donation to an organization like the Red Cross, it could take weeks before that money turned into product that would get out to people in need. I thought if I had a drone, I could put patches in it and medical supplies, and I could do it myself. That was a little bit naive, but that was kind of the basic. That was the basic idea. So
like a better idea. It sounds like a better idea. I agree.
so we had we had a technology, we had a concept, we had a business model that we were going to go after for using this to help people in need, and then kind of off we went. And one thing kind of led to another. So Christina and I, we end up meeting, and now I want to spend more time in Denmark. And I go to the Danish government, and they say, well, there's 3 ways that you can stay in Denmark longer than 90 days. One, the first 2 methods involve learning Danish, and Danish is like crazy difficult to speak. I've learned Mandarin Chinese, I've learned Italian, I've learned Spanish. I don't stand a prayer at learning Danish. It's crazy. Now, the third method to getting into Denmark was to start a business. And I had already started Thunderstrike as a business in the US, so I thought, okay, this is going to be simple. So I set up a company in Denmark. And the Danish government connected me with Hans Christian Andersen Airport, and Christina and I went and did a meeting there. And I found out that that was the largest drone testing center in all of Europe, that they had this vision about how they wanted to build out the airport. They were connecting me with all these people very high up in the Danish government. And it just felt like, okay, God has opened up a door. I need to pay attention to this and devote some time and energy into it. And fast forward, 2 years now, and now we've built the largest drone testing facility in Europe, and we're lucky to have Prince Joachim come and do the ribbon cutting at this event and meet all of our leaders, and of course participate in that. So it's extraordinary to me what has happened with this project. But at the end of the day, we're going to have drones that can do things that no other drones in the world can do. And the so we're going to be able to help a lot of people in need. But the power generation system is going to turn into this, Meredith and I, what we've talked about is the day that we launch that with LifeWave, that's going to be $1 billion company. It's only going to be limited by how many of these power generation systems we can produce. And as both of you know, this engine is doing something that's not technically possible.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's like remarkable. In fact, there was one of the brand partners that even put his face down by the exhaust. Remember that?
Yeah, I would have preferred that he didn't do that, but
you told him not to do it, but Roy was down there doing it. And I thought, well, you know what? And we felt it. There's no smell, right? It was just really remarkable. Yeah. And so I love when you said that these drones are going to be used for peace. And because now in a time where, boy, do we need peace, boy, do we need hope and joy and solutions to the chaos. Can you just expand a little bit on that vision of peace keeping with these drones? And then we want to talk about, the power system that's in these drones, which is eventually going to be in our homes, which is going to be the first $1 billion day, the day that it's launched. Wow, David, here's what I got to say. Get in now if you're watching this, because when that happens, it is going to be powerful on so many levels. But can you expand on the peace? Because people say drones, are those good or bad? AI, right? People have mixed feelings on that right now.
Yeah. I do want to, I'm going to get to that in a second. I want to take 20 seconds and just elaborate that with this engine, You can put any different type of fuel into it. So you could put gasoline, diesel, alcohol, whatever it may be. And just so everyone has the same frame of reference, is that two areas of the engine. One is going to be on the engine head, the manifold. If you open the hood of your car and you try to put your hand on the engine while it's running, it's hundreds of degrees, 500, 800 degrees. And this one, our engine runs at room temperature. And then the exhaust on, let's say, a car engine could be anywhere from 400 to 800 degrees on a truck, 700, 800 degrees. And this is anywhere from 110 to 150 degrees Fahrenheit. So the engine is incredibly efficient. So everyone has the same, and that's not supposed to be technically possible. A car engine is around 17% efficient, and our engine is over 70% efficient. So that's not supposed to be technically possible. Maximum efficiency, hypothetically, would be in the low 40s if you had a perfect engine. And so we're doing something very, very special with this. But on the subject of drones, my opinion on this has changed over time. And a lot of this has become from divine inspiration, but also because of Star Trek. And I'll explain that. The initial intent with these drones was going to be to use them for delivery of medical goods, which we still will. But we also want to use them for intelligence gathering. And what that means is, when we've been speaking with the Red Cross and Convoy of Hope, when there is a disaster, you need, what they would like to have is drones that can detect, are there people that are buried under buildings? What is the area of the damage? Like if we look at what happened in Fort Myers, if we had had our drones there, we could have found people in need that were buried underneath buildings, their houses. This is a technology called synthetic aperture radar. You could use infrared, so you could find people at night, and you can fly in these grid patterns back and forth and be able to communicate with ground support about where people are in need. For people that are lost at sea, you could have these drones, 10 or 20 of them up in the air, just sweeping back and forth, looking for people that are in need or coordinating search and rescue efforts. We have, since starting the project, we've been discussing other interests with this since we've been speaking with governments. So, for example, there's a lot of concern over terrorism on the infrastructure. And so countries that we've spoken with, they would like to use this to monitor the power lines. They want to monitor substations. They want to monitor oil pipelines and help to protect the infrastructure from terrorism. So that's what we see as the applications for these. But, even going a step further, I'll give you a really sci-fi Star Trek use for these. Suspend a little belief for a moment, and imagine you take our LifeWave patch technology and you take a product like Silent Nights, and you were able to create an active device like a laser, but instead of putting the patch on the body, you're beaming it to someone or a group of people. Imagine how you could use a technology that's not destructive, that would simply put people to sleep in time of, so we could neutralize, people that wanted to riot or commit acts of terrorism or war or what have you. So I think for the first time, that there may be technology that is based off of LifeWave, where we could have a meaningful way of stopping violence in this world and bring upon peaceful resolution. So we'll have to see what happens in the future, with all of these things. But At the end of the day, I want to leave this world a better place. And if we could help provide technology to heal people, keep people younger, have a clean planet, provide a clean source of energy, and live in peace, then I feel like I've done my job.
You burn him, man. If you're doing all of that, it's incredible, David. We're so blessed as you share that. When you told us that story in Denmark, I mean, I think my jaw was on the ground because I was like, because I know the future of healthcare, sound, light, frequency, all of these things that now you're making commonplace thanks to the patch, thanks to X39 and all the people wearing the patch, and the miracles are literally relentless. They're spreading like wildfire. So we couldn't be more excited. But when you said, what if there was a way to attach that technology to the drone? I thought there's some people that probably need to be put to sleep for a bit, like we need to settle these guys down. And so it's really incredible that you want to use it for good. That's the biggest thing, because there's all these drones in the world now that people are suspicious of. They don't know what they're being used for. And when you come out and say, hey, we want to use this for peacekeeping, for rescue missions, for the good of the planet, to help save lives, I mean, it's a differentiator. I mean, Lifewave is where it's at, you guys.
And I think too, is, currently in the present day, we're trying to get the message of this patch technology out, and this X39 patch is just changing the world, right? But you're really putting Lifewave on the map. Wasn't it amazing, David, to have the Prince of Denmark come out and, before he walked in, he said, like, he's not going to say anything. He's only going to shake a few hands. And then he shook everyone's hands. And then he asked if he could use the microphone. He wanted to make sure everyone understood how impactful and how valuable your innovation is to Denmark, to the world, right?
Well, and let's just say that before we got there that morning, there was people from 11 different countries that David was explaining the technology to. So people from all of the world are taking note of what David is doing, you guys. We know that Lifewave patches are in 80 countries, but now we've got like world renowned royalty.
Diplomats
on the scene.
Well, I'll tell you two things you may not know if I didn't share them. One of them I for sure didn't share with you. I'll share with your team. The first thing is, Prince Joachim had come to visit us in January and was incredibly excited about the engine demonstration that he got, which is the same one that you saw. And then, of course, he connected us with his brother, King Frederick, and then he agreed, to be at the ribbon cutting. But he was just so thrilled. We had to get everything cleared through his office, and they said the prince will, shake some hands, and that's it. Then he's going to leave. And as we're taking a walk through the building, I was saying, Prince Joachim, this is a really special group. These people are, focused on the humanitarian applications of the drone. This is really important. And he said, well, humanitarian projects are so important to me. And he said, I'd like to address the group. So that was thrilling. But what you don't know is that after he addressed our leaders, Christina and I escorted him out of the building, and I shook his hand and say, Your Royal Highness, thank you so much for being here. And then he went over to Christina, and his wife is French. So he kissed Christina on both cheeks and then walked away and got into the car. And I was standing there like an idiot, not knowing what to do. My wife has just been kissed by a prince. This is only going to get worse for me now. So I bring that up with her quite often, where I'll say, well, you were kissed by a prince. So, and she takes it in good fun. But the following week, I was invited to be the keynote speaker down at a conference. There were 10,000 people there. And this were all people gathering to talk about the future of drones, robotics, AI. And they brought me in to address the audience. And there were a lot of people in there from the military. And I was interviewed by a doctor who specializes in drones, but for underwater applications. So before I went on stage, Christina was saying to me, what are you going to tell them? And I said, well, what do you mean? She said, well, they're going to want to be asking you about how you can use these drones for war. And I said, honey, I'm going to address this group exactly the same way that I would speak with our Lifewave community. Because if I don't, then that means nothing I've created is real. I have to be, I can't think about catering my presentation to a specific group. I have to be myself and I have to be who I am, even if they don't accept that message and it's unpopular. So I went on stage and the woman asked me, what do you attribute to your success in business? And my answer was, you got to have the Lord. If you don't believe in God, you have nothing. And you have to pray each day and seek guidance. And I proceeded on building a case for why it's so important that we look at drone technology as a means to peace and not a means to war, and what the future can be. And I got so many compliments afterwards, and people came up to me and said, you're the only person that made a presentation like that. And it was so refreshing to hear that perspective and that message. So I was happy that got through.
David, I want to say one thing because it made me think of this saying, David, and you will know it. It says that when a scientist becomes a scientist, or you start going down this realm of quantum physics, that you become an atheist. But at the very bottom, through years and years of research, you get to the very bottom and you realize there is a God, and it is only God. And so I feel like I can't imagine delivering a presentation to these analytical, robotic, people-minded people, and then leading with Christ. That is how it's done, baby, right there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was just going to say too, David, is one of the reasons we love you is the same way you answered Rocco's question, right? Our teenage son is the way that you're answering that question to sector leaders, world leaders, right? You have to pray, you have to, be grateful. You need the Lord. So one of the many reasons why we love you.
Yeah, we've taken so much of your time, David. We love you. We can't wait to see you and Christina.
I love you guys.
We have to show the world how this is done. You know what I mean? We have to show them the light and the joy, just like you did at that presentation with those leaders. We have to show them a new way of doing business. So I'm not sure what people have been involved with in the past, the limited beliefs they may be carrying about network marketing or direct sales, but we know it is the freedom model. And that's why we're leading our children to become part of that. We think it's so important that the generation that we're raising up understands the power of this business. It's the power of relationships. It's the power of people. People love people. That's why we do this, right? And so we're just so honored that you took time with us tonight, sharing your heart, sharing with our boys. Yeah, I just said the boys need to hear from David, not from us, because they hear from us and it's and then they hear from David and they're like, David Schmidt said. I'm like, exactly.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been amazing. If we took one more minute, we had this terrible tragedy with Charlie Kirk. And because this took place in Utah, there were, I had spoken with Meredith about this. There were people in our office that were just heartbroken about this. And it was devastating. So Meredith and we communicated out to the staff. And my message, what you're going to hear me saying at conference is, and this will be on Thursday night when we open, is we're represented. There's going to be people from more than 40 countries that are coming to our conference this year. They represent people from all different walks of life, all different religions and faiths, all different races, cultural beliefs, ages, generations. And yet we're coming together peacefully because we're united under the idea that we can spread healing and light in the world, and we can make a difference. And it is totally okay. We get, as human beings, we get to make a choice of what direction we want to go in. Of course, as Christians, the three of us believe there's only one path to God, but we're respectful of the fact that people can have different beliefs, and we'll pray for them that, they'll make the correct choices. But our community can live in peace, respect others, and work to this common goal of spreading light and healing others and making the world a better place. And this is something that we want to be talking about and reminding people of, because our first instinct shouldn't be to respond with violence or respond with hatred or anger. We have to remember, that terrible things are going to happen in the world, but we get a chance to make a choice about how we're going to respond, and hopefully, we can promote peace over anger and violence.
David, that's wild. And I mean, of course you're saying that, but just before we got on this, I just said to the Scott and the boys, they were sitting here, I said, everybody's leaving a legacy. Everybody's leaving a legacy. And sometimes people don't think about the legacy they're leaving. I said, but when you leave the legacy of joy and of love and generational health and generational wealth, I said, it's very intentional. It doesn't just happen. It's not just naturally happening. Look at the world. The world's pretty wild. And so I said, what we're doing here at Lifewave is special. It's very special and unique because we are intentional about where we direct our thoughts and our hearts and our minds on purpose. We're doing this, right? When we say generational health and generational wealth and a legacy of relationships and love and light, we mean it. You mean it. We know that about you, David. So thank you so much for sharing that. And our prayers go out to everybody that was affected by that tragedy. And we believe Jesus is our Lord, and the best is yet to come. And we're going to stand on that. And we appreciate you.
Praise God. Okay. Thank you both. Thank you for having me. It's been amazing.
Hey, thanks for bearing with me on my tech glitches and everything. This is our first YouTube live, but hey, what a launch party you are, David. We appreciate you.
Thank you. I'll tell Christina you say hey. Thanks.
We
have a
love
wonderful
her
so much.
All right.
See you in October.
Bye.
See you soon.